Have you ever had a hard time getting motivated? Question of the day is, what comes first, motivation or action? Does action inspire motivation, or does motivation inspire action? I don't know if you've ever thought of this, but I've been to seminars, motivational type seminars, where at the end of it, I feel an intense desire to take action. And then I go home, and the next day I wake up, and life goes back to exactly the way it was before the seminar, as if it had never happened. And that's all that it was. Is it inspired me, it motivated me, but then I didn't take an action. And I've always wondered, why is that? Why do we get so fired up or inspired to go do something, and then we don't? What happens? Well, I think a lot of times we put too much credence on the idea that motivation inspires action. And I think more often than not, the reverse is true. Okay, so hear me out. So you get motivated, you get all fired up, but because of your habits, because of the things that you're used to doing, because of the way that you're wired and predispositioned, because of your belief systems, your foundation, your default, sometimes I call it, you're going to fall right back into your old ways because nothing different happened. You got excited, and I think there's people that have not followed this pattern, that have been able to break through. They go to a motivational seminar and they come home and take action and make change. But I think for most of us, the action happens first, and then the motivation comes. Because, listen to this, if you're unmotivated, you are unmotivated because nothing is happening in your life. There's no progress. A lot of times it's because we don't see the progress, and therefore we think that today's the same as yesterday, which is the same as the day before, which will probably be the same as tomorrow. Because we don't see a way for change to happen, because change isn't happening. And we feel like we're living on a treadmill. Have you ever seen Groundhog Day, where the guy wakes up, does the same thing day after day after day? And at first it's kind of fun, but after a while he's completely bored with it. Bill Murray, it's hilarious. You should watch it if you haven't. But I think we've all been there. Because when you're not taking action, you're not feeling motivated. I think it's more true, in more cases than not, that it's action that creates the motivation. And so you go get fired up and you get excited, but you do nothing because you're based on all of your habits. Whereas if we take action and we start changing our habits, we start seeing some momentum, we start seeing some change, we start seeing something different, which creates hope. When you start seeing some things happen in your life because of action that you're taking in the direction of your goals, that is exciting, because now you have hope that you're actually going to achieve your goals, right? If nothing's happening, you have no hope. So a lot of this is based on hope. When you start taking action, hope creates the motivation, because now you see that you're going to have a chance at accomplishing your goals and making the change that you're wanting to take. So action comes first, I think, more cases than not. Now, is there a place for motivation? Is there a place to go to motivational seminars? Am I saying don't go? No. I listen to motivational type, I call them self-development seminars, podcasts, leadership and training and learning, and I read books, I listen to podcasts, I watch things on YouTube all the time to keep myself excited. But unless I take action, the motivation won't stay. It's just like living from pump me up to pump me up, for lack of a better analogy. I'm sorry, I couldn't come up with something right then, but it's like we're just living from one to the next, and one gets us to the next if we keep listening or staying plugged in. But unless we take action, unless we do something, the motivation will not stay. So, yeah, motivation can come from a seminar or a book, and you can feel excited, but it's not. It's the action that makes it stay. It's the action that gets it into motion and really gets the motivation going. So if you're under the faulty thinking that I'm going to go get motivated and then it will inspire me to take an action, well, I'm sure there's people out there that would disagree and say that that's true. For any rule out there, any law, especially when it comes to success, there are people on both sides of the fence. There are people that say, yes, that totally works that way, and there are other people that say, are you kidding? That's crazy. The opposite is true. So find out what works for you. But what I have found, what I've experienced is in more cases than not, the majority of the time, it's action that must come first. So how do you take the action? Well, stay plugged into the motivation. That's for sure. Okay, don't give that up. But start by taking small actions. Don't overwhelm yourself. If you're doing nothing, then step one is the most logical next place to go, right? If you're doing, tons of stuff, then obviously you have to push yourself a little further. But a lot of us, we wake up and it's January and we're like, okay, new year, new goals, new resolutions, etc., etc. And we want to take on the world, and we've been doing nothing. Like, our progress is very minimal the previous year. And we wake up and, okay, this is the year. I'm going to change everything overnight. And then we go too far too fast, and we get overwhelmed, and we're not used to it. We're not used to the habits and the lifestyle and the mindset and the way of thinking that is required to fulfill that level of goal setting and achievement. And so we fail, and then we get discouraged, and we, fall out of our goals. Well, wherever you are, take small action. Do something small that you can feel proud of today, and start right away. That's the key, is you can't wait. There's always a better time. There's always some time tomorrow or the next week. I'm kind of busy right now. You can excuse your way all the way through life. I didn't say excuse, I said excuse. You can use excuses all the time. There's always a good reason to not do something. Well, we have to stop that. We have to say, you know what? No, I'm going to take an action. And maybe it's a 5-minute action. That's okay. 10 minutes. Something small. But I'm going to do it today. And then tomorrow, take another action. Do something. And you'll figure stuff out as you go. But that action is what will spur the momentum, because you'll feel good about your progress. You'll look down and realize you're starting to do something. And if you string enough of those days together, at the end of the week, you'll look back and go, wow, I actually did something that in previous weeks I had never done before, and that I've always dreamed of doing, or was dreamed of starting, or whatever. But 10 minutes a day for 7 days, that's a little over an hour spent toward your goal. And that's a teeny tiny bit. That's just a drop in the bucket, but that's a start. What I'm saying is, let action be your motivation, okay? But if you've been doing nothing, just make it a small action. It's okay. Give yourself permission to say, you know what, I'm just going to do something small. Because if you've been doing 0 and you say, I'm going to do number 1, just a level 1, you're likely to do it. Because why? Well, it's not a big deal. It's only 10 minutes. I can carve out 10 minutes to work on my goals today, on something today. I can carve out 10 minutes. Anybody can carve out 10 minutes to work on something. And that action is what will inspire hope, it will inspire motivation, it will inspire momentum, and you'll start to form into a habit, and it will start to change your mindset and your belief and your foundation, your default. All that will start to get into place because of the action. So what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I say motivation follows action. I say make yourself do something even though you don't necessarily want to do it. That's life. That's how life is. A lot of us do things we don't want to do, but we do them because they're great and they will produce fantastic results. So those are some of my thoughts for the day. If you're struggling a little bit with motivation, with how to get started, how to get the ball rolling, I'm not sure what to do, I'm a little lost, I feel like I'm floundering, or any number of those types of things, well, I just encourage you to take some sort of small action and start there. And that's it. And be okay with that at first. Don't try and bite off the whole enchilada. Don't try and land at the moon if you've never gone past the height of a mountain before. So just take some small action and then do it again the next day and do it again the next day. Take it one day at a time, one step at a time. You can't see the top of the staircase when you're standing at the bottom, especially if it's a windy staircase. But you can see the first step. So even though you don't know the answers, you're not sure what to do, or you don't have the whole game plan figured out, that's okay. Be okay with that. Most entrepreneurs start out that way. They have no idea what they're doing, but they take a step. They take action, and that action spurs more action because you feel good about your progress.